Hi, hello, welcome to Jadav's Wheel Academy. In this class, I'm going to discuss about uh, previous solutions for previous ESET questions in the subject Irrigation Engineering and from the question paper TS ESET 2020. So let us discuss the first question here. Given is if wheat requires a 7.5 centimeters of water after every 28 days and the base period of a wheat is 140 days, find out the delta for the wheat. To answer this question, you should know what is the definition of a delta. Delta is nothing but depth of water required for a particular crop over its base period. So what is the base period given? B is equal to 140 days. How much? B equal to 140 days. In the question they have given that for each 28 days, for 28 days, each 28 days, it requires 7.5 centimeter depth of water. For each 28 days, how much it required? 7.5 centimeter of water. But what is the base period of this crop, wheat crop? That is 140 days. So how much depth of water required for 140 days? That we need to calculate. Let us say for 28 days it is 7.5. So for 140 days, how many times we need to apply the water? So 140 by 28. 140 by 28. It is equal to 5. So during the lifetime of that is base period of this wheat crop, we need to apply a 5 times at a rate of 7.5 centimeter depth of water. So for over 140 days, it is 5 into 5 into 7.5. 5 into 7.5. It gives me 37.5 centimeters. 37.5 centimeters. So the option C is correct for this question. Clear? So let us discuss one more question. The drip nozzles also called as, it is also called as emitter, mains, laterals or submains. The drip mains also called as a emitter. What you can say? Emitter, or the other thing we can call it as a dripper also. Emitter or dripper. Emitter or dripper. So the option A is correct answer for this question. So next we'll discuss one more question. The purpose of pulviometer is to measure option A evaporation, option B transpiration, option C precipitation, option D wind speed. This pulviometer is used to measure the precipitation. It's a direct question. Pulviometer is used to measure the precipitation. So we have one more question here. There's also a formula based question. The optimum number of rain gauges is n given by following equation, where Cv is the coefficient of variation of rainfall and P is equal to allowable degree of error. The options are like this. A equal to, option A is n equal to Cv by P. Option B is n equal to Cv by P whole square. And option C is n equal to Cv into P. Option D is n equal to minus P by Cv whole square. So to calculate the optimum number of rain gauges, we will use this formula, that is n equal to Cv by P whole square. So option B is the correct for this question. So then we have another question here. According to Duncan's formula, peak flood discharge is proportional to. So it is an empirical method for calculating a peak discharge of a flood. So Q, according to Dickens, QP is a peak discharge is equal to C A power 3 by 4. So here C is the coefficient. That coefficient generally depends upon type of terrain, whether it is a plain terrain or hilly terrain. And A is the area. It is measured in kilometer square. Right? This is the formula. Area which is measured in kilometer square. So from this I can write QP is directly proportional to A power, that is area power 3 by 4. A power 3 by 4. So for this question, option A is the correct. Yeah. Here one more question we have. The surcharge storage in a dam reservoir is the volume of water stored between. So to answer this question, I have various levels of water when upstream side of the dam we have here. That is, if you want to, what you are measuring, we are measuring the surcharge storage. From this figure I can write the surcharge storage is this, what is between this and this, right? What is this? FRL means full reservoir level. I can say this is a normal reservoir level. Up to this level generally we can keep water in the reservoir, right? And that is normal reservoir level. And this is what MWL, that is maximum water level. Maximum water level, or I can say MRL, maximum reservoir level. The water which is stored between normal reservoir level and the maximum reservoir level is called surcharge storage, right? So for this question, option D is the correct answer. So let us discuss one more question here. A silt excluder are constructed, right? So if we have a dam across this, right, and we have a canals, here we have a head regulator, and these are the head regulator. Generally we will construct a silt excluders, right, upstream side of the, this is the upstream side and this is a downstream side. Upstream side of head regulators. What is the purpose of this silt excluder? It prevents the entry of a silt into the head regulator. So for this question, the answer is B. What is the answer B? On river bed upstream side of the head regulator. The silt excluders are constructed on extreme river bed upstream side of the head regulator. Then we have one more question. This is a match the following type. Right, here we have a column A and column B. So here in column A, P, for an earthen dam, uh, the foundation rock should be stronger than the abutment. For this P, it matches. For, sorry, it is not right answer. For option, we will change the color. Right. So for an earthen dams, the foundation may be rock or soil. Right. This is B is the correct answer. For an arch dam, A is the correct. What is that? A rock in the abutment must be stronger than the foundation. For a solid gravity dam, this D is the correct. The foundation rock should be stronger than in the abutments. For barrage, the remaining is option C. The foundation should consist of a pervious material. So if you see here, for P it is B, for Q it is A, for R it is D, and for S it is C. So option A is the correct solution for this match the following case. Right. So another simple question we have. A core wall is provided in which type of dam? Option A is an earthen dam or canal regulator, an aqueduct, or in gravity dam. Generally, core walls are provided in earthen dam. So it is a earthen dam. So core wall will be provided like this in earthen dam. What is the reason for providing? So earthen material generally they are allow the water to pass through it. So I can say it is a pervious materials. So in order to prevent the seepage of water from upstream side to the downstream side of a dam, we will arrange a wall called core wall in earthen dams. Right. So option A is the correct answer for this question. Right. So another question: an elementary triangle concrete gravity dam supporting 60-meter height of the reservoir water, a full uplift should have a minimum base width equal to, take under root of 1.4 equal to 1.183. The simple question for this case, minimum base width B is equal to, what is it? The height of water stored in the dam H by under root of specific gravity of the dam material. So that is given directly, that is 1.4. So directly I will substitute B is equal to 60 by, what is under root of 1.4 value? 1.183. It comes out to be, if we calculate that, we will get 50.7 meters. 50.7 meters, that are equal to, you can write 51 meters. Right? Let us see the options here. The option C is correct for this question, that is 51 meters. Then we have one more question. The discharge passing over an Ogis spillway per unit length, its apex line is proportional to, where H is the head or the apex of the its crest. So generally, the formula for calculating discharge over a Ogis spillway is Q is equal to, discharge through Ogis spillway equal to CD into LE into HE power, or HE power 3 by 2. Here CD is, the coefficient of discharge. It is L is effective width of the crest, and H is the what? It is a head over the apex of its crest. So from this equation I can write Q is directly proportional to H power 3 by 2. Right. So for the answer for this question is Q is proportional to H power 3 by 2, that is option A is correct. Right. Another question here. When an irrigation canal is taken over a drainage channel, the crossing is called. It is simple question. When we have irrigation canal over a natural drainage, that is called an aqueduct. The answer for this question is A. Right. So is an important question, little conceptual question. I think diploma holders may not having this concept in your irrigation syllabus. So I will discuss the concept of this. Before that, I will read out the problem. An alluvial irrigation canal is constructed with 1:1 horizontal and vertical side slope in cutting. The slope in cutting is 1:1 and 2:1 in the filling. So the canal is constructed partially in cutting, partially in filling. And the water depth up to the full supply level, that is FSL, is expected to be Y. A berm width is equal to Y if it left it initially. Right. So initially, before flowing of water through that canal, the width of the berm is equal to the depth of FSL, that is Y, which with the passage of time and when canal attains its extreme condition likely to become, at what depth of what width of the your burn when a canal attains its extreme condition. So let me draw that case here. So this is your a natural ground, right? This is natural ground. Generally we go for cutting below the natural ground and filling above the natural ground. So let me draw with another color here. Right. So my canal is, so this is in cutting. The side slope are 1:1. Side slope is 1:1. Generally we can take it is S1 is to 1, while design S1 is to 1. And the same canal, it is in filling also, like this. It is in filling, and the slope is 2 is to 1. Slope is 2 is to 1. I can write it as S2 is to 1. S2 is to 1. Right. Initially, and it is the embankment. So these are the embankments, both side of the canal, right? And initially, before water passes through this canal, the width of the berm is y. And what is the width of the berm when canal attains its resin condition? Right? Resin condition means it attains equilibrium. Further flow of water, the shape and size of the channel will not change. So over the passage of time, when the water flowing through this canal, this portion of the canal may affected with a silt. The silt may be deposited. Silt may be deposited. Then the slope is reduced by 1 by 2 is to 1. Then when it attains half is to 1, then we can say the canal attains the resume condition, right? For this, if when it attains the resume condition, the width of the berm B is equal, we can take the formula S2 minus reduced slope, that is half, into depth of full supply. What is the depth of full supply? Y. So what is the S2 here? S2 is 2 minus half into y, So 2 minus half, it is 1.5 into y. So for this problem, the width of the berm when it is a extreme condition is 1.5 times y. Then, so we have another question. The wetted perimeter P of the stable channel is proportional to. So generally the wetted perimeter of a stable channel P is equal to 4.75 times under root of a discharge through that channel, stable channel. So here I can write P is directly proportional to root Q. Right? You know the root Q means what? Half, 1 by 2. P is proportional to Q power 1 by 2. So let us see the option. Option A is Q, option B is Q square, and option C is Q power 1 by 2. So the option C is correct for this question. So thank you.